and welcome to Business Connections, a program produced by the Dayton Area Chamber of Commerce. I'm Holly Allen, Director of Marketing and Communications for the Chamber. The Dayton Area Chamber of Commerce operates a lot of programs that are specific to the needs of our unique members. We have a program for people in the logistics industry, we have a program for minority, women, and veteran-owned businesses. We have a program for young professionals, and that program is called Generation Dayton, and this year it's celebrating 10 years, and that's the program we're talking about today. Joining me today, my colleague Chris Kershner, he's a Vice President with the Dayton Area Chamber of Commerce, and Michael Allen, who is with Generation Dayton. You're on the steering committee, correct?
Correct.
I want to thank you both for being with me today. This is exciting to be able to celebrate 10 years. It's surprising, I guess, for some that it's been around for 10 years, but this is all about celebrating young professionals in the Dayton region. So, Michael, I want to start with you because you are the next generation. Chris, no offense to you and how long you've been around the chamber, but you're very active with Generation Dayton. Can you describe the program for someone who's hearing about it for the first time? What is Gen D, as we call it, all about?
So at its core, and first of all, thank you for having me
Absolutely,
on this talk. And I am recently new into Generation Dayton as far as its anniversary. So I'm standing on the shoulders of people that have done a lot more than I have up to this point. So it's an honor to be here. But to do a good job, or I guess explain what Generation Dayton is at its core, the purpose of the group is to help enrich the area and help enrich the young people in the area. A long-term problem of Dayton has always been this brain drain dilemma of people graduating from the area and then moving to different areas afterwards. Mm-hmm. So the hope of this group originally was to help engage and inspire and motivate different people. So our target market is anyone who's graduated college, generally 21 to 40. Mm-hmm. Although we do have people that are older than that, and they're probably the most fun people in our group, so we welcome them. And every month, so our initiative is to like I mentioned, help enrich the members and enrich the community. So once a month we have one community service event that's geared towards enriching the community. We have a networking event just to get to know the other members of the group. And then we have a development event where we'll have an executive of a large company in the community or just a community leader come talk to us about what they've done and learn something from them and hopefully become better people for it.
And I'm sure it's a lot of fun along the way. It's not all business.
It's tons of fun. No, and that's why we mix it up and do those 3 things a month, because you can come to whatever you want. So when you become a member, you don't have to go to everything, and there's a lot of people that like it for that reason because they can just come and go to the things they enjoy the most. Some people will only go to the professional development ones because they love learning. Mm-hmm. Some people will only go to the networking ones because those tend to be the most fun, and you'd probably be at those the most. So
I'm a learner, Michael. It's all about learning.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, but it's, as you mentioned and we mentioned in the beginning, it's tied to the Dayton Area Chamber of Commerce. This is one of our programs that we offer our members. And Michael, as I said, you're the new generation. Chris Kershner, you were around for the start of this thing 10 years ago. Can you believe it's been 10 years?
You know, there's a few things I can't believe. A, I can't believe it's been 10 years. B, I can't believe Holly called me old at the beginning of this program.
I put it on the record. I didn't call you
That's
old.
Right.
I just said Michael's the new generation.
That's
so whatever that leaves you.
No, he absolutely
I
is.
think it's because I look like I'm 14.
Right.
So anybody looks old next to me.
I think it's my haircut that gives me away. But no, I can't believe it's been 10 years. I mean, 10 years since we started this program. I turned 40 this year, so I was 30 when we started this program, right in that core demographic for Generation Dayton, and I can't believe it's been 10 years. I can't believe I'm 40, and I can't believe the program's 10 years old, and it's just grown and grown and grown. It is what I would call one of those cornerstone programs of an organization. You know, every organization has those programs that define them, define who they are, and define what they do. Generation Dayton is absolutely one of those programs for the Dayton Area Chamber of Commerce. One of our key initiatives at the Chamber is workforce development, and we build programs around workforce development. Nothing says workforce development more than helping give professional development opportunities to our younger generation of professionals, to help with networking opportunities, and to help those younger professionals give back to the community, and that's really what Generation Dayton does. It's helping produce a better employee for our employers in the community. It's helping retain young professionals. It's helping give them the right skills they need to grow that corporate ladder. And I feel like we're fulfilling a responsibility that we have to the next generation of business leaders, is we're helping prepare them. We're helping prepare them through mentorship opportunities, through exposure to new and upcoming initiatives in the community. And I'm always proud to say that we have the best young professionals of anywhere in the entire country, right here in Dayton, right here, part of Generation Dayton. I'm proud to have been in with it since the beginning, and I'm proud to be part of it now.
You talk about giving back. We can't talk about Generation Dayton and not talk about Gen D Day, which happens in May every year, and that's kind of the anniversary date because it started in May. And in 2016, this year, more than 150 volunteers took part. That equated to about 600 hours of volunteer service and an economic impact of more than $14,000. So to have young professionals out there making those connections in the community, I assume that was part of the impetus behind it. Can you tell us how this whole thing got started? If we take us back 10 years ago, and you're 30-year-old Chris Kershner,
Right.
how did this happen? What was the vision for what you wanted this to be?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and this was soon after I had started at the Chamber. So I was still getting my feet wet with the organization, trying to figure out where we wanted to go. And I was involved in some young professional programs in the Columbus area. So I really had a passion to wanting to start something here. Well, it was great because my passion mixed exactly with where the vision of the Chamber had before I even got here. And they were interested in starting a young professional association. The reason for it in the very beginning really was because they continually heard from their employers that it was hard to retain some of the younger professionals here. Like any young professional, you look for attractive geographic locations you want to be. And unfortunately, Dayton doesn't have ocean waves lapping up against our beaches here.
Unfortunately not.
No, but we do have kayaks, and
Yes,
we do have a great outdoor recreational habitat for individuals here. But we didn't have some of those amenities. We didn't have a Chicago metropolitan lifestyle. We're a medium, big-sized city, so we have to deal with the cards that we're dealt. And employers were coming to us saying, it's hard for us to retain some of these employees here in the community. It's also our younger employees need a place where they can grow their skill sets, build a network of individuals that are all part of the business community, and that everybody can grow together. So the Chamber looked for opportunities to launch a young professional association. Something we do well in Chamber world is we don't reinvent a wheel if the wheel's already been invented. Mm-hmm. And there was an organization in town called the Dayton Young Professionals Association, DIPA, at the time, and they had been formed for similar purposes, but they didn't have formal organization. They were some volunteers from some local financial institutions that were running this program. That they had the foresight and they had the community responsibility that they wanted to take that on and start DIPA. But they needed that formal organization, somebody to help them with marketing, somebody to help them with back-end budgeting and membership dues and that type of thing. Mm-hmm. So they were looking actually for an organization to partner with. This was at the same time that we were looking for to launch our Young Professional Association. So really we had the perfect storm. DIPA looking for a home to formalize, Dayton Chamber looking to start a Young Professionals Association. Why reinvent the wheel and be competitive to another program when we could join forces with another successful program? So that's what we did. We had started Generation Dayton, and we rolled DIPA right in underneath Generation Dayton. It gave us an immediate membership base of young professionals, and we were able to take that foundational membership base and grow it and grow the programming and grow the activities and the events and really the return on investment that we can provide to Dayton's young professionals right away. And it has just been growing by leaps and bounds ever since. We've got corporate sponsors, DP&L helps underwrite the program, but we have a lot of other sponsors that help underwrite a lot of the events. And Generation Dayton Day. That first year I remember, Mayor Ryan McClin, who was the mayor of the city of Dayton at the time, named that day in May as Generation Dayton Day, and that's been the day ever since. Generation Dayton, it's been named Generation Dayton Day, and that's when we have volunteers go back out and give back to the community. They're working for different nonprofits, they're cleaning up vacant lands, they're helping do landscaping, they're painting, buildings for nonprofits in the community. They're really giving back to the community that's given them so much.
Right. I think I saw Michael out pulling weeds this year at Generation Dayton Day. So
That was totally for fun. I just go over
you
and
just
do
go
that.
randomly. I think you were at Dayton History. Is that where you were assigned?
I was
Carillon?
all over the place.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you were
I was
moving.
at Carillon, and I went. When we finished that job, because we had a lot of people there,
Yeah.
we just bounced around to the different locations. So
Oh, great.
you probably saw me pulling
You
weeds
got-
all
you
across the
got-
city.
all across the city.
Somebody
It's
did.
your claim to fame.
Right. It's the only thing I'm good at. Too, just pulling weeds.
Can you tell us, Michael, what has your experience been like in Generation Dayton? How did you get started? What value did you see when you first joined? And what has the experience been like for you?
So when I grew up in Dayton for the most part, and I left the city like most people do. Actually, I went to Chicago, so it's funny you said that. For more of the prestige than anything else, came back for work for a job that I do here in Dayton now, and I wanted to get to know the city that I'd grown up in, because I felt like I grew up in my own little community in Centerville, and I loved the experience that I had, but I knew from being outside, it's time to see what is going on around here. So I found Generation Dayton online. I didn't know anybody that was in it. I went to one of their events downtown. It was a speed networking event. And I remember I'm still really good friends. I saw a guy named Jared Frenzel there. He was kind of a wallflower, and he'll laugh when he hears that. But I introduced myself, and he was kind of looking for the same thing. And I said, oh, okay. And everybody in the group was really nice. And I asked a lot of them, what's your purpose for being here? And they said what the mission of the group is. I want to learn more about Dayton. I want to meet the people in the community. I want to help the community. So that fired me up a little bit, and I was really involved from that point on. That would have been about 2 years ago, and I've just been doing as much as I can. I've met some of my best friends and best business relationships through the group, and I've also, I love what I do, but I've been able to connect different people to their next career opportunities just from knowing who to reach out to within the group. So it's been great.
Would you say that you feel a greater connection to the Dayton region? You grew up here, but you're, I'm sure, seeing it through a different lens now.
Yeah. Everybody says the grass is always greener, and you don't know that until sometimes you don't know it until you actually step across the lawn and you realize, yeah, it is. So when I went to Chicago, I was expecting all sorts of things, and it is one of my favorite cities. But Dayton has a lot of what it didn't. When we first met, Holly, there was an instant, and Chris, when we first met, it was like I could talk to you about anything. And not saying it wasn't that way in Chicago, but you didn't have that same feeling with strangers, I don't think. And so everybody here is really nice. The community is big enough that there's all sorts of things to do. In fact, that's one of the things that Generation Dayton really opened up in my own mind. In the last year, I've learned things about what Dayton has to offer and what there is to do here that I had no idea about, and I lived here for like 15 years.
Isn't that amazing?
So that was great. And then it's big enough to do that, but it's small enough that it feels like a close community, and it feels like everybody around here cares about one another. So that's why I really, I would say that's what I learned.
Yeah. All these years later, changing lives like Michael's, and you may not know this, Michael, but with us, working with business leaders, Michael's like gold, right? I mean, to business leaders in the Dayton region, someone like Michael is like gold. So can you explain, Chris, what that means and why young professionals are so important to the Chamber and to the business leaders in the Dayton region?
Yeah, absolutely. Young professionals, a lot of them are leaders right now in the community, and then some of them are the future leaders in our community. And as CEOs of companies, as leaders of different organizations are looking at succession plans, they're looking for where are those talented individuals coming next in their organizations or at their neighboring organizations, because they want to make sure that they have the best person in the right spot so that their business can be successful or their nonprofit organization can be successful. And Generation Dayton is really helping to groom some of those individuals. Now, I'm not trying to say Generation Dayton's taking credit for Michael's individual success. Michael deserves 150% of the credit for his own success.
A lot of it goes back to the group, for sure.
But I would certainly say Generation Dayton helps provide some networking opportunities, helps provide some professional development, helps introduce him to folks that he may have not met already in the business community that are helping him and others grow in their career opportunities. And that's what it's about. I mean, I will put our young professionals in Dayton up against any other young professionals in the entire world, and we will totally kick their butts because we have the best young professionals in the world right here. And they're the next leaders of this community. They are part of the succession plans of CEOs and executive directors in this community. They are leaders right now, and they're the leaders of the future, and that's what's important to the business community.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and I know that we have said many times on this show and elsewhere that with our business members, their number one concern and request from us is a strong workforce. Right. And that comes back to those young professionals, which I think is why Generation Dayton is such an important program. Can you talk about what Generation Dayton is doing for the anniversary this year? I think this is a great chance to get the word out about Generation Dayton to those who haven't heard about it.
Sure, I think so. Mary Jeski is our marketing chair, and she's just done an awesome job tying everything back to the anniversary. Once a month we release a different video from a member of the group about what Gen D has done for them. Mm-hmm. And I think had I seen one of those before coming into the group blind like I did 2 years ago, I would have known better how to approach it.
Right.
Our material hasn't changed a ton. We've wanted to tie it more to Dayton roots this year to highlight some of the amazing businesses that were started here in Dayton and the leaders that exist through Dayton, and especially if some of them were Gen D alumni in the past. So that's where our education and that's where our events have been structured towards, but we're still doing the same, once a month, those 3 different events, one for community service, professional development, and networking. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the year, we're having our, big annual holiday party where it's kind of the wrap up for the year and kind of celebrate what we've done, and we're inviting a lot of past alumni back to that party, even if they're old, like Chris.
You might be invited.
Even if
you
they're
should keep that
above
date
40,
open on your
right?
calendar.
Keep it open, and it's going to be an excellent opportunity not only to have a little bit of fun, because it's always a ton of fun, but to really network with people that are, a few years ahead of where you might be in your own career or where we might be in our own careers, because they're going to be there. So.
Right. I think that's a unique opportunity. It's not often that you have young professionals who are being able to connect with CEOs, executive directors, that sort of level of business. Is that something that the Chamber focuses on, making those connections?
It is. We believe we have a responsibility to young professionals to make sure that they are being mentored by some of our leaders that are already here in the community. So we absolutely take that seriously and try to make as many of those connections as we can. We also believe that we have a responsibility to those CEOs to help introduce young professionals to their organizations and their companies, because they could be future workforce for them. Mm-hmm. Michael's made a good point. He talked about really the 3 legs of the stool for Generation Dayton: civic involvement, networking, and professional development. Those are all extremely important to us. And that's something that's a little bit different about Generation Dayton than other young professional programs, is we focus on all 3. First and foremost, it's about workforce. It's about making sure that we have a skilled and talented, career, successful workforce for the business community. We're the Chamber of Commerce. We work for the business community. So our goal always is to focus on the business community. So that's our first goal. And we do that through professional development opportunities for Generation Dayton. Helping them identify mentors in the community, helping them with skill sets, whether that's how do you write a resume from something as elementary as that, as writing a resume, or how do you dress for a certain event, to how do you give speeches in front of large audiences? I mean, stuff that has been very helpful to me and others in the community as you're growing in that, going up that career ladder. Mm-hmm. But we also believe that everybody in this community has a responsibility to give back to the community. This community gives a lot to us, mm-hmm. and we should give back to it, and that's what Generation Dayton has taken under their wing. We also know that folks need to have a social network. You build those friends, you build those relationships, and you all grow together in the community. And that's what we like to see, really, is that lateral growth, so that everybody's moving up the ladder at the same time. Everybody's rising in the ranks in their different organizations at the same time. Eventually, we are going to have a whole network of high-profile leaders that all went through Generation Dayton in this community, and they can call each other anytime, and they will have that friendship that they've had for the past 20 years, and they can get favors from each other, they can get advice from each other, they can help each other as they're making decisions in their new positions.
All right. So Michael, you talked a little bit about getting involved with the events and the ways that you can join Generation Dayton, but you mentioned that you were on the steering committee, and so there are volunteer opportunities out there. Can you talk about what you've gotten out of that steering committee opportunity to volunteer through Generation Dayton?
I'd love to. Yeah, one of the biggest things that I think I took away from that was just the fact that I get to surround myself with the other people on that committee. Because one thing I learned really early was after joining, the other people on there tended to be the people that cared about the community a lot and tended to be the people that cared about growth a lot. Mm-hmm. And I know that there's nothing that's going to impact my life more than the people I surround myself with. So I was really excited when I met them, and I got to know them over the past 7 months, and I've developed some amazing relationships with them. And the other thing that I would say was really helpful, just being involved more and being a part of this committee that directs the mission of Generation Dayton, is just learning how to do exactly that, learning how to do the fundraising side of it, and learning how to do the membership kind of gut check side of it, finding out what members want versus what material we're giving them. Mm-hmm. And I know that after running this, being the vice chair this year and running it next year, I'll be able to go to the next level of something like this, and it'll be, I got my dry run out of the way, I guess, this time. So I learned a ton about myself, and I also made some great relationships with really quality people that I wouldn't have met had I not decided to volunteer a little bit more.
Absolutely. I got to say, you worked your way through the ranks pretty quickly. You've been just in a couple of years, and you're already going to be the chair of the organization. That's pretty good.
It's not where you start, Holly.
it's not
if I screw it all up next year,
right,
then it won't matter that I made it.
Okay. Well, then we'll wait until next
wait
year
until
to
next
see,
year.
to see how it goes.
It's actually one of the beauties of Generation Dayton is there are those volunteer opportunities. Mm-hmm. Communities a lot of times tend to look to, all right, I'm going to be politically correct here, more seasoned individuals to help volunteer with their organizations. Well,
right.
Not Generation Dayton, not the Dayton Chamber. We look to try to diversify as much as we can. And Generation Dayton provides volunteer board opportunities for younger professionals that are looking to get engaged in the community. And if you want to get engaged and you want to be part of this organization and you want to help improve it, we're going to get you involved. We're going to help you rise through the ranks just like Michael. We're going to help you be a leader. We're going to help you be a leader in Generation Dayton because that means you're going to be a leader in the community.
Yeah, what an opportunity, something to put on your resume in the future that you got involved in something like that and really took charge. So how does someone get involved? Who wants to answer that one?
Sure, well, I can start off from the chamber side, and Michael
Right.
can probably talk a little bit more personally about it.
Yeah.
Sure.
But to get involved with Generation Dayton, it's pretty easy. We have a low-cost due structure because we know that sometimes younger professionals don't have access to as much cash as other individuals. So $50 for the entire year. $50 for the entire year.
Not too bad.
Not too bad. And if you're a young professional, I encourage you to maybe lean on your employer a little bit, see if they'll pick up that tab for you. A lot of them do. The majority of folks, their employers do pick up that tab. So if you're a chamber member, $50 a year. If you're not a chamber member, it's a little bit more, but just go ahead and join the chamber, and then you can only pay $50 a year. So it makes it makes
Well, that's
it
a nice
Makes a
sell.
ton of sense.
Yeah, that's my plug for the day for the membership team.
It's a nice way also of saying that young professionals don't make any money.
Yeah.
But
Again,
$50
trying to be
is
PC.
affordable for a lot of people. And you also can come try out the group before you join. And like I said, there's different events, and we cater to different types of people. So if you come to one or two things and you have a lot of fun, and you meet with me and we have a good conversation, then it's a really easy process to just hop on the Chamber's website and pay your dues, and you get all sorts of different benefits. All of the professional development meetings are free. For non-members, they cost $15. We go to different, we do different things across the city. For example, we're going to the Dragons game in August, and the tickets are really discounted, and you get all sorts of other stuff along with the tickets. You got to be 21 for that because I think they give away beer or something. So, but all sorts of stuff
Can't have
like
baseball
that.
without beer and
Right.
peanuts, right?
I think that's exactly what they give us.
Yeah.
But all sorts of things like that come along with the membership. And if anybody has questions, I would say come to an event first, seek somebody out that's part of the
a
group
great point.
already, and just ask them about it. And that's a good way to kick it off.
Yeah, Absolutely. So we couldn't make it any easier for you. And before we go, I have to point out that we are all wearing our Generation Dayton orange and blue today.
Hey.
So good job, team.
It's not
We're
on
representing
purpose.
Generation
We
Dayton.
brought our A game, you know?
We did.
Sheer luck. I can hardly dress myself most of the time.
We did not prompt you to do that. Those are Generation Dayton colors, orange and blue, in case you were wondering. And if you want to check out more, Michael mentioned the website, generationdayton.org, or you can go to daytonchamber.org, and there's information about joining other chamber programs while you're there, and you can look at chamber memberships. And we're also on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter, so you can follow both of us on social media. I want to thank you both for being with me today. It was a great time talking to you about Generation Dayton, 10 years. It's very exciting. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.
Our show today helped many of our business viewers understand the new rules being put into place concerning regulations affecting overtime of employees. These new rules are set to go in effect on December the 1st of this year. The concern of many businesses, echoed by the Chamber of Commerce, is that these new regulations will have a number of unintended consequences that federal regulators did not take into consideration when they decided to put these new onerous dictates on America's businesses. The federal government simply sees this as fueling more pay. Many wish it was just that simple, but it's not. Many employers who must do business in a very competitive world may not be able to absorb any new payroll costs and may not be able to just pass these new costs along to the customer or consumer because of contracts or competition. What may indeed happen is employers may have to restructure a portion of their workforce to meet their budgets or bottom line profitability. These changes may include reclassifying employees, reducing employee hours, reducing the number of jobs in their companies, and/or eliminating new seasonal or full-time hires. Do we think that this is what the Department of Labor really wanted? Probably not. But unless we see some changes, such as the one being proposed by Democrat Congressman Kurt Schrader of Oregon, that might reverse or amend this new rule, then on December 1st, we'll be forced by the federal government once again to accept their wisdom that they can run our businesses, our community not-for-profits, and governmental agencies better than we, the owners, managers, and citizens can. I hope Congressman Schrader can get support from both sides of the aisle on this to fix this before we see the possible problems of this new regulation going into effect.